start out with
Okay.
is I'll start in sleepy series, and I'll start working this and making this a little bit darker in the dark areas.
Yeah.
And then I'll come down and I'll start reworking these lines. So like, are you talking like darken it up like that, man?
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to have a lot more definition, I
Okay.
guess, is
Okay.
what I'm saying.
Make that dream a reality.
I am thrilled that the ink is so much more popular now, and the stigma is just about completely gone. But yeah, there's a certain amount of snobbery that has gone along with that acceptance. You know, I basically call it like it's the same with, you know, the vegan snobs, the vodka snobs, the bourbon snobs. You know,
That's not
oh my God, you call it a back piece?
I always love when you about that California shit.
It's just like, dude, I have my back piece done by Kenja. Who gives a fuck? You know, it's shit like that. It's, as they say, some people will do what they can to take the joy out of anybody else's accomplishment. You know, the beauty of what we do is, yeah, you get these moments where you get to share. And occasionally you make this human connection that can't be duplicated. It's like live music. It only happens one time. And then it'll happen again tomorrow night. But it won't be the same. It's like jazz. It's never the same. Okay? A jam band, okay? You'll never play it exactly the same way twice. You respect it too much. A comic can get a standing ovation. Yeah, now we're yeah.
I just wanted to make sure
Yeah.
before I did it anymore.
No, because now it's starting to look like a tattoo.
I'll end up coming around here eventually.
Yeah, because that's got definition. Look at
And then
that.
I'll come through and I'll darken like a little bit of this side and more of this in here. And
Yeah,
actually,
for most comics, I think.
do you want to go ahead and do
Oh no, yeah. I mean,
We can do that right now if you want. That way you don't have to re-answer it again and forward.
We'll do. Can we do stream of conscious?
Here, I'll give it a... Hey, so, obviously I'm here with Jesse Nutt, the legend. Side story real quick about Jesse. I actually have known Jesse for about 20 years. He was the very first comic I ever saw do live comedy. It was at my brother-in-law's, what you call it, the party before they marry your sister and wreck your life. That's where I met Jesse at, and he was at Joker's. Fast forward about 15 years later, Jesse introduces me up onto the stage at Wiley's, which is the second place I had ever seen live comedy with Dave Chappelle. And I actually have that on film, and it's one of my best moments and probably one of the highlights of my comedy career is being introduced by the man who helped inspire, along with people like Sam
Got to raise that
Kinison.
bar. You should. Those expectations need to be elevated.
He's one of my local heroes. Like, he's ultimately one of my all-time comedy heroes. So this is cool. We'll go ahead and get into it real quick. Is it cool?
Okay.
All right, so question one. What was your very first show like? Like what you consider your very first real show?
Real show. Corny as it sounds, I remember it like yesterday. I don't even remember how long I'd been doing comedy, but pretty much at that point, I'd only done it at Wiley's and maybe once or twice at Aunt Maudie's down in Cincinnati. But other than that, and I mean, things are going well. I mean, I could pretty much count on regular guest sets at Wiley's. So it came up, Wiley asked me, did I want to do a guest set this coming weekend when he was going to have this comic named Ollie Joe Craven. He was going to come in as a big weekend because Ollie Joe was huge in Dayton, everybody loved him.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. And I said, yeah, I'd love that. Okay, so I got there, I can't remember if the first show was Thursday night or Friday night, and the MC didn't show up. And Wiley was like, you're going to MC the show. And I did. And then I MC'd that entire weekend. And it was life-changing. I got an applause break for the corniest joke. Well, I think it's corny now, looking back. I did this rant about McDonald's and how, you could end up in McLimbo when they run out of shit and you can't leave because they already took your money.
Yeah.
And the line was, she put it up on the arches. McDonald's, over 80 billion served, over 6 million still waiting.
I've seen this joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was a life-changing moment for me. I got real cool with Ollie Joe. He gave me easily 3 pages of phone numbers of bookers, agents for me to call. Some of them, he said, "You told I told you." Others, he said, "Don't use my name."
That means I didn't live there.
I think he was partly joking, but I mean, just the amount of the wealth of information I got in that first week, not just the exposure to the whole real business side. Like, this is what a crazy weekend is like when every show is sold out, and the room is filled, and everybody's smoking.
Yeah, it was the 80s, man.
How any of us survived without, how there are comics without emphysema from the 80s is a miracle.
Right.
But yeah, I knew Saturday night, when I could not go to sleep from the adrenaline rush, I was a comic. And then, Sunday, meeting up with all each other and getting all this stuff. I was a comic. I was a real comic. And that was it for me. It didn't really, not too much else mattered. It was that legitimacy of, okay, I really can do this. I can really do this.
Like, this is no longer just in theory.
Yeah. And I just made this much money.
Oh, yeah.
Telling a joke about a fart.
Yeah.
America, I love you. Yeah, I mean, that was the dopest thing ever. If I can do it here, let's see if I can do it here. I can do it here, okay. Let's see what happens over here.
Yeah.
Okay, they dig me into Natty, how they feel about me in Louisville. Okay, what about Pittsburgh? What about Cleveland? It's the natural thirst. And also, the more you get around, the more other comics you meet. And they tell you different things. You're always trading lines, always.
It's really hard once you get into a peer groups and non-exchange ideas.
Well, but that's the best part about being to me. I miss, and I'm not saying that everybody that was in our little group either quit or whatever. Yeah, people had different paths they had to take. But man, I always tell the young comics, cherish the friendships you're making at the beginning, because those mostly will be the ones, some of those will last the longest. They really will. They will last a long time.
Dude, you and me have been friends for 20 years, man. I mean, you just didn't know we were friends until I introduced myself and told you were my friend. I was like, hey, we're friends.
We're friends.
And you're like, all right.
But you have to, I mean, especially when I started, there just weren't that many comics, period, in this area.
Yeah.
There were quite a few in Cincinnati already. And I mean, Cincinnati already really had a scene. Guys like Michael Flannery, Conedian, they were already big deals.
Yeah. Dude, they were getting booked on like some big shows too by the time that they came out. Like,
Flannery was,
yeah.
Okay, yeah. He was doing
He
TV.
was on like Mad TV with him.
No.
No, that was a different guy. Oh my God.
You're thinking of Pat Kilbank.
Yes, thank you.
But yeah, I mean, and again, seeing people like that, just watching how they work, watching their process, the best education you could possibly get. So yeah, and I'm gonna enjoy this one.
On number 2?
Yeah.
All right, question number 2.
what made you even start getting into comedy at all? Like even after that first show, or just at all?
I knew I was going to do this from the time I was 5 years old.
That's it.
This is the story I've told you a million times. I'll tell it because, and here's the truth of it. I might not even have been 5. I might have been 4. I don't know. It is one of my earliest memories. It will date me. There was a show back last century called the Ed Sullivan Show.
Last century.
Well, it was.
It was.
Sunday nights, it would come on. It was a variety show. All kinds of different acts. Kind of like Star Search. It was one of those shows that my entire family would watch as a family. I do not remember the name of the comedian. What I remember is watching my big brother and big sister, who had very little in common, my mom and dad, who loved each other but had nothing in common, all laughing together. I mean, just hilariously laughing. And I remember it was like a light bulb went off for me. I'm like, I want to do that. I'm going to do that. That is the best thing you can do for people, is make them all laugh, make them happy. Because you can't be pissed and laughing.
Yeah.
Okay? Even though sometimes you laughing at something evil.
Yeah.
Okay?
Well, you still get enjoyment.
Yeah, but you're still getting enjoyment. You're not pissed. It's a happy expression. And so, for me, it was always going to happen. There were 2 things I knew in the 4th grade, and I told pretty much anybody that listened. I was going to be tattooed, and I was going to be a stand-up comic.
Here you are.
Yeah. I was at a Christian school when all that shit went down, too. So, I mean, but no, everybody knew. When I was growing up, if you had a show and tell, or first day of school, like 2nd grade or whatever, you know, how you did your summer vacation, I would do 5 minutes of Bob Newhart.
Man, Bob Newhart is a killer.
Or 5 minutes of Cosby.
So many kids nowadays don't understand how cool Bob Newhart is.
But down line of Bob Newhart, if you haven't listened to him, you don't know shit about timing yet.
Yeah, you don't know shit. That man is.
You don't know shit about timing. The greatest as far as timing goes so far, Carson, Jack Benny, Bob Newhart. These motherfuckers took a pause and turned it into a symphony. I was a voracious student of comedy growing up, but I guess my point there is, yeah, I was in training for that from age 4. I knew I was going to be a comic. It was the only thing I wanted to do, and the only thing I thought I'd really not suck at. I'm much happier now.
I'm starting to just like here. This hat pretty much all the way to this main.
I am much
Except for
happier.
the I got to throw the white in. And that'll
Okay.
be minimal. Always
Always end up doing it like a little bit like long here and this.
Now I'm still going to have these lines kind of, okay,
Well, I'm actually getting ready to start working on that right now.
okay.
Because you said that you didn't want them to.
I didn't like that technique. If that was an artistic thing you did, I wasn't feeling it, you know? And again, I'm not trying to be whatever, but my vision of it, the sketch that we had agreed on, didn't look like that. It looked like more like what you do,
Thank you.
you know? Which is, I'm just like, okay, cool.
Hell yeah.
No, it took-
I knew I liked this kid for
It only took 7 fucking years. So, cool. But, yeah, it was, I always knew I was going to do it. There was no doubt in my mind. You know, tried once in Christian college, the Christian comedy route, and thought I did a good job, and found out later, evidently, I was ethnocentric. I'm a smart motherfucker. I had to look that shit up.
What does that mean?
Well, the word ethnocentric means that you evidently prefer one ethnic group over another.
That's like low-key back-ended racist.
Yeah, they really were kind of calling me racist. And the jokes that I did at this conference for a bunch of other Christian colleges, now understand, these jokes all had to be vetted. Okay? It was not like I just, ran up there in front of the mic and just blurted out shit.
Yeah.
The joke was real basic. It was, okay, there are a lot of differences between black worship and white worship. But I think one of the most telling is music.
Yeah.
Okay?
And that
And it's just, it's basic, all right? Like black folk, we respect you white people because you'll never run out of material for songs because you write it right out of the Bible. You know, I just hope you never get caught in the Book of Chronicles because those are going to be some boring songs. And I thought it was a funny joke.
That is a funny joke.
It was not a funny joke to somebody. Evidently, somebody thought it was the opposite of fucking funny. It was ethnocentric.
It was probably Archbishop Kidfucker who didn't like it.
It was a trip because it was one of these instances where, you know, my parents heard about it, my sister heard about it, a lot of my family heard about it, and they're super religious and super churchy. And I'm at this super religious, super churchy school, and, you know, I made no secret about the fact that once I was done with certain things and I felt with parental and family obligations, I was going to go be a fucking copy. But, you know, I'm trying to be the, you know, Christian comic, blah this, blah that, blew up in my fucking face. You know, so-called Christian comedy, my version of it, no, I don't think it would work. I really don't. Just because, you know, I would tell jokes like this, and I honestly believe this. You ever think Jesus and the disciples were walking, and one of them farted? He just looked up and went, Peter? And Peter goes, come on!
Come on!
And he just laughs, you know, he didn't know it was me. You know, I mean, come on, that's not a sin.
Question number 3.
Number 3.
What is the highest or the highlight of your comedy career so far? Like the highest moment, or subsequently on the other side? And you don't have to answer this because I'm not trying to make anybody seem, you know, negative or anything.
Right.
So if you don't want to, you don't have to. But on the other side, what is your worst or most?
The worst is easy. The highest, happiest, I get a list. There's plenty of those. You know, highest, happiest, I think, is relative to, you know, where I was in my life or what I was doing or what show it was or this or that or blah, blah, blah. Lowest, worst show or worst experience, easy. I was hired to do a banquet for a fraternity from Ohio State. And I truly hope each and every one of you girls drop dead and die. If you are still alive. Really, I hope you starved yourself to death with, you know, anorexia or died of a stroke while puking. You're horrible, mean individuals. And sadly, you'll have to go.
Hold on, my gimbal. I knew it was getting ready to go. There we go. Now it's just going to be crooked, I guess. I don't know.
It's all good. I should have known at the beginning, by the first question or the way it was laid out, that this was not going to work. I get there, I meet up with whoever's in charge, and she's like, well, okay, nobody knows you're coming, so it's going to be a surprise. It's okay. This is already starting bad. She says, okay, what I want you to do is, you know, like, you just come on the stage, yo, 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 what's up, niggas? Now, understand, I'm the only black motherfucker in the room.
Yeah. So that's racist off the tip.
I got this white chick going, yo, 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 what's up, niggas? Okie dokie.
That's not.
Okay, so I know what they thought they hired. In other words, they told the booker, we just need a black comic. Because we're all exactly the same. So, instead of doing the smart thing, which would have been thanking her, getting back in my car, leaving, tell my booker I will refund the money to you, because no, this will not work.
That is,
The way this all ended was the audience decided to sing me off stage.
Oh, wow.
To the theme from the Jeffersons.
Oh, my God.
Because they thought I looked like George.
Oh, my God. When you were younger, you didn't even look like George. That's fucking racist.
Even if I was his fucking twin brother.
Dude, that's still racist as fuck.
Yeah. But aside from the racist, was just cruel.
Yeah.
It was a level of human cruelty unnecessary.
They
Okay.
must have been really trying to do some sort of event or hazing or some shit.
No, okay. I did keep the money, but yeah, that still rates as the absolute worst show, worst experience of my life. I will never work for any Ohio State Greek affiliated organization ever again. Period. Full stop. Never. Never.
I can see why, man. That's really fucking brutal.
I mean, look, there have been shows where comics talk about, their worst show. And they're more brutal stories than that, You can't enjoy a standing ovation if you haven't had some shit like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
That's
hard.
yeah. You gotta have them. You gotta have them hard shows. You gotta have them nights where you just wish you'd have stayed home, because that's when the really good shows. And it did it again.
No, fuck that, Stan. I'm
Yeah,
so
yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
you guys. Technical difficulties. Sorry.
You'll be alright.
Yeah. I was so excited.
I was so excited for this, I forgot like half of my equipment that I actually needed for this. Because I was like, I got to interview Jesse today! And this was his idea to do it while we were
My
texting.
idea.
Which I was like, oh my god,
That's
so
a great
cool.
idea. But yeah, happiest. I've had happiest moments. I'll tell you, two of them when my firstborn and my secondborn daughters came up on stage with me at different times in their life. Came to work with Dad, wrote some jokes, and did their jokes. Those are proud moments. Really proud moments.
Question for then. And you kind of said it just now when you referenced Lisa and people at Jokers.
Yeah.
How influential was your personal, friend set of comedians, or also just your comedy set?
Well, the comedy friends meant everything because, especially back when I was growing up, you felt really, if you thought you were funny or you wanted to be a stand-up comic or whatever, you were probably pretty alone. I had a few nerdy friends who loved comedy as much as I did, but none of them wanted to get on stage. They all knew that's the only thing I ever wanted to do. So that was kind of my plan was, go to New York, get started, see what happens. Then, my hometown, I read about this place, Wiley's Comedy Club. I go down there. One thing leads to another. There's me, and there's Huffman, there's Gary Davis, Michael Podiak,
Davis, I haven't seen him.
Best and long dead.
Okay,
Dead for a long time. Basically, Dow was the North Star. So, yeah, everybody was bugging the shit out of Dow. Everybody was hanging out at Dow's. Everybody was hoping to, go on the road with Dow. Because those were coveted gigs. And not just for the gig and not just for the money, it was for the time.
Then you're learning.
Well, you got to pick his brain. You got to, really get down with, okay, this is how it's done. This is how you handle this situation. This is how you handle that situation. Because that's always the tricky part about young comics is, everything's new to you.
Yeah.
You have no idea how to handle it.
Yeah.
And some of those instances, and it's weird, everybody's different. The thing that intimidates me might not mean shit to you.
That is very true.
It's individual, phobias or, what people trip off of. One person, it might not bother them, okay, to be heckled by a woman.
Yeah.
Other comics may get totally thrown by it.
I love whenever people heckle me because I just throw it in there or I just ignore it. Like,
Right.
It's like anything else.
It's,
You have the ability to choose whether or not that you want to
I watched
participate.
that video where Joe Rogan got murdered.
Yeah, absolutely amazing.
It was
Yeah,
crazy
it's-
thing.
and it's the kind of thing where you, the comic, are making a decision every time in that moment. And, obviously what you really want is everybody in the audience to have a good time, to deal with the heckler, but to do it in such a way they don't get salty,
Yes.
you know?
You bring them into it and make them feel loved. While
At the
also
same
telling
time,
them to fuck off.
well, at the same time, letting them know, okay, if you really want to go here, remember,
Yeah.
there's a reason you paid to get in, there's a reason I'm getting paid,
Yeah.
okay? It can go that way.
I'm up here to handle shit like
Right. Okay. This ain't my graduation ceremony. I've been here before. So, but that's I don't know. It's also what makes it fun. Every show is different. You never know what's going to happen. You never know what kind of bar you're walking into. You never know what kind of club you're walking into. And that sometimes is the best part. Is you literally don't know. And sometimes the shittiest looking place or the iffiest sounding situation turns out to be great. Now, most of the time, if it sounds iffy, it's iffy. Say no.
Yeah.
Just fucking say no.
If anything, just drive by and see if it's worth it. I forget question number 5 right now because I'm
Question number 5.
business hands.
How do you feel on stage?
Yeah.
What's your headspace?
Like what goes through your head? Like your perspective while you're up there alone.
That has changed over the years. When I first started doing comedy, the only thing in my head was what I was doing. I had to be 1,000% in that moment. It took just every bit of focus I had. As time went on, I started to still be in the moment, but I started to be ahead in time. Like, I'm telling this joke, but I'm already in my head. I'm telling the next joke.
Yeah.
I'm literally telling it.
I'm gonna look at this chick like
Right, I'm
this,
gonna do this, I'm
say
gonna do,
her.
yeah, I'm already forward in time. What's going on in real time is in front of me, but in my head, I'm on to the kumquat joke. So, that really started and pretty much dominated it for a long time. Then I got to the place where I had enough, or I thought I had enough, I still think I kind of have enough, in just all the memory banks to where I can do a lot more relaxed freeform, where I can let the show kind of dictate where we're going, rather than necessarily coming into it with, I got to do this set list, I got to do this, I got to check off this joke and that joke and this one. I can be more, just let it go. Let's go where we're going. Where are we going? Where are we going? I'm going with you. Or you're going with me. Come on. And I may, take a thought and run with it. Why should it? Look, okay, first of all, the only reason it would discourage you is you're trying to be something you ain't. Okay? If you're trying to be you, then what Earthquake does, I can't replicate that. I can replicate what Jesse Nutt does. Okay, I can't be as funny as Earthquake, but I can be as funny as Jesse Nutt. So what it does, is what it always did for me, I think what it does for some, but what it always did for me is I looked at it technically. I said, I want to get better because I watched the way that they work those pauses. I love the segues when they went from roller skating to squash growing. Or, the way they assembled the technical shit that made them funny that the audience didn't even notice. Okay? That's what I always have looked at when I watch a comic do something like that. I'm like, okay, what can I take from that and incorporate it and make mine better? That's what it always should be. Again, because I'm not trying to be them. I'm trying to be me. I'm trying to be the best in me. So, yeah, what?
I remember the first time you told me that, man. It made so much sense.
Well, it's as long as you're focused on your voice and your writing and your point of view. Number one, your jokes can't be stolen. They can't be. Because even if somebody pinches them, they don't sound right coming out of their voice. They sound pinched. Okay? And number two, you're unique. That means there's nobody else like you. Whether you succeed and get known or whatever, you're original. Okay? Nobody's going to say you were, oh yeah, he was doing them old hack jokes, blah, blah, blah. No. He had his own thing, did his own jokes, and they were fucking funny. That's why I think it's important. I think it's so important that the individual comic focuses on their act, not on what everybody else is doing. Don't focus on what opportunities they get. Are they getting better opportunities than you? Maybe. Did they suck the right dick? Maybe. Who cares? All right?
That hits home for me because I get really jealous because there's some kids that I've seen in the industry and stuff 2 years, 3 years getting things that I haven't gotten in like 12 years. And that's a hard pill to swallow.
It can be. It can be very difficult to address and live with. It can be very hard to tell yourself, hey, that's the way it is. I should be happy that comedy's so popular. Okay? Human nature is a motherfucker. But at the same time, what they doing ain't got shit to do with what I'm doing. Maybe they're on a different path. And this is the question I ask everybody. If you had to choose, would you rather peak early and live riding on the momentum of that success? Or would you rather grind and get that payday when you actually are old enough to realize what it means?
For me, man, if I were to answer that question, now if you're a comic and you actually are watching this, then you know this is the real answer. I would Bill Burr the fuck out of it. Bill Burr, by the way, took 20 plus, I think it was 24 years, 27 years until he got his big break. Meanwhile, people like Pauly Shore, aka Mitzi Shore's kid, gets it first year. And you see the difference. Look who's the legend. Look who's still trying to chase that dragon.
Bill Burr paid dues for the longest time. And a lot of comics do. A lot of comics do. And some don't. And, there's value in both.
I don't think I'm gonna put any more in this time.
Okay.
How do you feel about that?
Dude, compared to what it was, I'm real happy.
You love it?
Yeah. No, I'm real happy because you saved this from a cover. Because it was going to be a cover.
I would have done that for you too.
It was literally, if you did not save this, it was going to be covered. And it was going to be something real creatively, huge, Last Supper kind of.
Yeah.
But see, and now I can design something like this. Yeah, that works, man. That absolutely works.
You've given way more real answers than a lot of people.
Dude, look, at the end of the day, and I hate that phrase, but I've been using it a lot. I love comedy pretty much because I've always loved it. I was lucky enough, blessed enough to be able to do something that I really, really enjoy. And, there aren't that many people in the world who get to do what they love.
Yeah.
Really do what they love.